Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About, and today's subject is going to be Arena of Fate, the upcoming MOBA from Crytek. Just in case you don't know, MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, and it usually pits two teams of 5 against each other for control of the map. Now, Arena of Fate looked interesting to me because it pits historical and fantasy characters against each other, so that really intrigued me. And also the variations of like the normal MOBA tropes that they changed also had my interest in, and I'll get into that in a little bit. As for my histories with MOBA games, I am personally not an expert by them at any means. I love playing MOBAs. Like I love the characters that you can choose and play as, all the different roles. Like you have your supports, your attack damage carries, your ability power carries. The tactics and just the details you can go into the game are really fascinating. And as I said, I'm not an expert, but I do love playing them. They're loads of fun once you really get into it. I've spent lots of time on like League of Legends, Infinite Crisis before it got canceled, and Heroes of the Storm. So I was really interested in checking out Arena of Fate because it looked like it had a lot of fun stuff to offer. Now, Arena of Fate differs from other MOBAs because it runs on a point system. The first team to 10 points wins, and the matches can never go over 20 minutes, so they'll always end at 20 no matter what. And you get points by destroying enemy towers, destroying a set amount of enemy heroes, or defeating the arena's boss, which is the Titan, which spawns later on in the match. It's a really interesting spin on it. It allows for quick, short matches that are different from some other MOBA games where sometimes if things got really crazy, the match would go on for like 40, sometimes 60 minutes. And like while that's fun, it sometimes is nice to have just like a short, quick match that you can play and say, okay, like that I'm done for now. So that aspect's cool of it. And then the champions themselves are a lot of fun to use. Like you have all your different historical heroes like Richard the Lionheart, Cleopatra, and guys like Jack the Ripper. It's a really neat selection. And then on the other side you have your fantasy characters like Little Red Riding Hood, Frankenstein's monster, the Chupacabra, Grendel. It's all good stuff. My only nitpick about the character selection was Joan of Arc was in a lot of the promotional material for the game, and unfortunately she is not available in the closed beta. I don't know if they're going to add her later on, or if she's just not going to be in the game, period. Which, if she isn't, that's a bit of a bummer, because I was really excited to play as my favorite historical hero, so I do hope Joan of Arc makes it in at some point. Anyhow, there's only one map at the moment on Arena of Fate, and it's your standard 3 lanes, and you have your top lane, your middle lane, and your bottom lane. And the middle lane is quite different from a lot of other MOBAs because it does not lead directly into the enemy's base. Instead, it runs into a wall, like right next to the base. I don't know if anyone who's listening has played the Twisted Tree line on League of Legends, but it has like a similar feel to that, but there's a middle lane, so it's kind of weird at first because you have a middle lane but it doesn't lead directly into the enemy's base, but there are 2 towers for each side, so that does give you more objectives to get. So that aspect of it is different, but also intriguing. And the jungle, I haven't quite figured out the jungle in this game because you have these elemental camps that spawn, and if your team defeats them, they join your minion waves in lane. But they don't seem that powerful, so it's not like the camps in Heroes of the Storm where you really want to get those because they give you a huge boost in lane power. Maybe it's just me, they just didn't seem as powerful as they are in some other MOBAs, but hopefully those will become something that becomes important later on so that your team really tries to push those jungle objectives. Because there is a big one that's the Titan. At the end near the end of every match, the Titan spawns, and it's the big boss. It's your Baron Nashor or what have you of the map. Because if you defeat it, your team gets 2 points, which is like 2 points closer to your total of 10. And the last thing that happens in the jungle is you get these vision shrines. And since there aren't really any sight wards that I can find in the game, these are very helpful if your team gets them. So it gives you a little more vision of the map, so you can see what the heck's going on, because the map does sometimes feel small. Like, even for the 3 lanes, you can get to one side to the other pretty quickly. But there is a lot of bushes to hide in and all that standard stuff, so there are good ways to escape or ambush people between the 3 lanes. So yeah, Arena of Fate is still in its closed beta. I sometimes have trouble getting into matches. There doesn't seem to be a huge player count, but hopefully that will grow as the game gets closer to its official release. But it's been quite fun thus far. I've enjoyed playing as characters like Baba Yoga and turning people into frogs, or just tearing it up with Little Red Riding Hood. So it's definitely, if you enjoy MOBAs and if you're accepted into the beta, I would definitely recommend checking it out, because it does offer a lot of fun variations on the standard MOBA gameplay styles. And hopefully they'll fix some just like any bugs or and such before the game officially releases. The only big thing I can think I want them to improve on is there isn't really any music per se once the actual matches start. It has a unique like stadium feel, because you actually hear people cheering like for your team, or if like one character's doing particularly well, they'll start cheering for that character. And I haven't played any MOBAs that do things like that, so that's cool. You kind of get this like sports stadium feel to the Arena of Fate, but there isn't really like any music per se. Like, you get these little like soccer type like drums that go every once in a while, but that's about the extent of it. And for me, music is always a big part of MOBA games, because it really, like, at least for me, like motivates me and helps me to like give that extra push or do like extra hard in the team fight. So hopefully that's something they'll add in as the game progresses. But yeah, Arena of Fate is being developed by Crytek, and it's been a really fun variant of the MOBA genre. Hopefully it won't be cancelled like some other games like Infinite Crisis. Infinite Crisis I mentioned earlier, and Dawngate, like games that just got kind of unceremoniously cancelled, and like they had like player following. So hopefully Arena of Fate will stick around for a while. It probably won't reach the same heights that like League of Legends and Dota 2 have, but it's fun to have different options on them. That's why I've been enjoying Heroes of the Storm this summer, is just because it's so different from like the other MOBA games I played, but still similar enough that it feels like one. So that hopefully Arena of Fate will be something similar to that. So yeah, if Arena of Fate sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend checking it out, and until next time, keep having great adventures, everyone.